Heads up, pre-A students. This is our first installment of our lecture system. And it's really basic. It's about metric system and SI system of measuring. And in science, and especially in chemistry, physics, we had to have some type of unit and to provide uh, a value with that unit and gives it perspective. So we are very interested in the English system in the United States. So obviously, what country was the English system or the customary units measuring developed in? And if you are thinking England, you are correct, or Great Britain. Um, these date back to hundreds of years ago, and it was used throughout Europe. But there's a problem. So what's the problem with the English system? Um, it's very, very arbitrary, meaning they use the width of the English thumb for an inch, or the pace of a soldier, or how long it took a farmer to plow his farm. So very arbitrary units that didn't really have any backing. So, for example, a foot of the English king was the length of a foot. Um, the width of the English thumb was an inch. 1,000 paces of a Roman soldier was a mile. So it's very arbitrary. People walk differently. People's thumbs are different. People's foot are different. So if you're important, you got something made out of your unit. Okay. So mile and a foot and inch was England king's thumb. Um, and Queen Anne's wine container, and that was a gallon. So basically, her container of wine, they said, well, that's going to be a gallon, and that's going to be it. In mass or weight, you have tons, pounds, ounces, all these different types of units. So what are some major differences between the English and metric system? Very, very important that the English system has multitude of units. There's hundreds of different units in the English system, where they're not even either. So where in the metric system they're by tens, the English system is numbers are varying, so it's not exactly equal. So you can see here, 12 inches is a foot, 3 feet is a yard, 1,760 yards is a mile. But if you look on the basic, on the metric system, 10 millimeters is a centimeter, 100 centimeters is a meter, and so forth. You look at volume, a cubic inch, 57.75 is a quart, 42 gallons is a barrel. I mean, these are very weird, weird numbers to work with. Whereas in metric, you have 1,000 milliliters is a liter, 1 centimeter cubed is a milliliter, and so forth. You can also look at mass. 16 ounces is a pound, where 1,000 grams is a kilogram. It's all basic stuff. So why is English system so difficult to learn? Too many units, too many numbers. So what is the advantage of the metric system? Pretty simple. They work on base tens. So it's a pretty easy system if you know how to multiply by 10 or divide by 10. In 1799, just before 1800, the French developed the metric system. Good old French. They basically measured everything on the scale of tens. 3 reasons why you should learn the metric system. We don't only use English system in the United States. We actually do use some metric system. There's only 3 countries in the United States or in the world that study the metric system, or that just use, not using the metric system, sorry, Liberia, Burma, and the United States. Metric system is easy to learn. It's based on tens. There's 3 basic units: mass, we're in grams, liters, and volume, and meters is for length. and you don't know a system of measuring, scientific measuring is always an important skill. So in science, we always want to use the metric system because it's national or worldly known, and it's easy to communicate, whereas only 3 countries are using the English system. So you can see here, if you look on um, a sports bottle or whatever sports drink, you can see that they do use metric units. You have sodium here, 35 milligrams. Volume is 500 milliliters. So it's a better number than 16.9 fluid ounces. What else? We got the basic units of measurement. So in distance, we have the meter, and volume is liter, mass is kilogram. And how is this derived? How did the French come up with this? So basically, a meter is 10 millionth the distance from the pole to the equator. And the liter is 1/10 of a side of a cube. And a kilogram is a mass of 1 liter of water. So if you have a mass of water and it weighs 1 kilogram, you have 1 liter. What are the 3 most common metric prefixes? So kilo, centi, and milli are the 3 common ones. We will work on other ones, but these are the 3 most common ones. And the kilo is 1,000 times greater. The centi is 1/100th times greater, or 1/100th of the base, and a milli is 1,000th of the base. So kilometer, kilogram, centimeter, centigram, millimeter, milligram, all are common examples. So they all have milli or kilo and centi in front of it, and then either meter, gram, or liter. Okay, so quick review. We work with kiloliters, meters, centimeters, millimeters. We work with liters and milliliters, and we work with kilograms and grams and milligrams and centigrams. All right. So if it's length and you have milli, the base unit for length is meters. It's basically the height of a doorknob, and volume is liters, and mass is in grams. So a millimeter is basically the length of a piece of sand. Centi is a piece of rice, and a kilometer is the most comparable is a mile. 1 mile is about 0.67 of a kilometer. Volume is milliliters, centiliters, and kiloliters. Mass milligrams, centigrams, and kilograms. So they all have K in front of it for kilo. They all have C in front of it for centi, and all in front of it a little m for milli. Okay, so the meter, like we said, it's 1/10 millionth the distance from the North Pole to the equator. 1 meter is 100 centimeters, and 1 meter is 1,000 millimeters, which means that there are 10 millimeters in a centimeter. A kilometer is 1,000 meters, or 0.6 miles. A cube, if you have a 10 by 10 centimeter cube, that is equivalent to a liter. 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000. 1,000 cubic centimeters is the same thing as 1,000 milliliters, which is the same thing as 1 liter. And a liter is a little bit more than a quart. Okay, so the most important thing aspect with volume is that a milliliter and a centimeter cubed are the same thing. And it takes a 10 by 10 by 10 centimeters cube to make a liter. Kilogram. So mass is the measure of how much matter you have in an object, whereas weight is gravity pushing down on you. So if gravity is pushing down on you, it's going to have a different weight compared to something like on the moon, but your mass is always the same. So if you have a mass of 100 pounds, well, sorry, that's weight. 50 kilograms, your mass is always going to be the same, but the mass is different because that's how much weight of gravity is pushing down on you. If you take a liter and fill it with a pure water, it's going to mass out 1 kilogram. So that's also important that 1 liter of water is the mass of 1 kilogram. Now, why are we talking about water? Because it was the most common substance on Earth. So that's why the French use that. And then if you also think about volume of a cubic centimeter, which is also the same as 1 milliliter, that is the mass of 1 gram. So 1 cubic centimeter of water, or 1 milliliter of water, is the mass of 1 gram. Quick review again. Kilo is 1,000th times, centi is 0.01, and milli is 0.001 of that. The basic units: meters distance, volume is liters, and mass is in kilograms. Okay. All right, the mass of a grain of sand, what would you think it would be? Milligram. Very good. Distance to Washington, D.C. from Florida, kilometer. Volume of pond, kilometer for distance to Washington. Volume of pond, kiloliter. Width of the room, so any room you want, basically it should be in meters unless you live in a gigantic house and you have to use kilometers. Volume of cup, milliliters, and the mass of person should be in kilograms. So think about normal I say English units. So if you think of like the mass of a person, you always think about pounds, which is actually weight, but pounds and kilograms are going to be similar. Width of the room, you might think of yards or feet. So a meter would be somewhat equivalent. A meter and a yard are very similar. Distance, think of miles, so that means obviously it's going to be kilometers. All right, one last practice. So the width or length of paper, you should choose either millimeters, centimeters, meters, or kilometers. And if you chose centimeters, you are correct. The width or diameter of a dime is very small, so you know it's going to be millimeters. The length of the room can be meters. That's very similar to yards or feet. The distance you travel in the United States, any distance, long distance, is going to be kilometers. The distance to the mall, or this is an old picture, but now it's LA Fitness. So it's Southgate. And to travel there, you're going to talk about kilometers. Or the length of a pencil, small but not too small, so it's centimeters. The height of the old brick building out in 41, so it should be meters. And diameter of a cup, or even the length of a cup, or the height of the cup, all pretty small but not too small, and it's going to be centimeters. All right. I think that concludes it. Go through the notes. If you have any questions, let me know.